Hello students, welcome to today's session. In today's session we are going to discuss the PI data topic with the topic called as process. So what is a process? Process is any program under execution will consider as a process that we have already discussed in our operating system chapter. So if you have any program or any software, say MS Word or MS Excel or any kind of those softwares, once you click that particular icon or once you start execution of that particular program, it will be converted into process. So any program under execution is called as process. As you can see, the first point, it says instance of a program is considered as a process. In the sense, consider you have MS Word. So MS Word software, what you have, we can open more than one document using MS Word software. If you open the first document, that will be acting as a one instance or one process of MS Word program. Similarly, if you open the second document, the second document will be acting as second instance of that MS Word say program. So you have a software and you execute that software. If you execute that software two times, it will create two different process, process 1 and process 2. Both will be using the same MS Word program. Okay, so which is nothing but instance of a program. Instance of a program is simply to say, once if you have any software, if you try to execute that software more than once, or if that particular software has been executed multiple times, then it will create a process. Okay, so when it is born, when a process is started, or when it is born as when a process starts its execution, when a program once it starts its execution, a process is created. So if you double click on any icon, so that what it does, it is going to start execute that particular program. Once that execution starts, that execution will consider it as a process. When it is going to end, so it is going to end once it completes its execution. All the steps or statements have been executed. Once it has been completed, then it is going to stop its execution. Now usually all the programs are managed by kernel. So what are the things that are managed by a process, like allocation of resources, uh, so allotting time, CPU time for execution, and providing priority for the process, everything will be taken care by kernel. Next, each process is identified PID, in the sense when a process is created. So that is once any program starts execution, so we are going to allocate some number for that process, which is called as process ID. So it should be unique. So each and every process will have its own number. Okay, so you can consider any unique numbers like your register number, a number given to a vehicle, or a number given to any kind of books like say ISBN or something like that. So those kind of unique numbers, how you have, similarly we'll have unique numbers for a process which will be used to identify that particular process. Okay, next, coming back to how the process will be created, and we have a diagram here which represents the states or different states the process can be. So that is represented by this diagram, where you can see first we'll have something called as fork. Okay, so what is fork? Fork is a system call. Okay, system call is nothing but whenever you start executing any, whenever you click on any icon for its execution, it is going to call a function called as fork. So this fork function, what it will do, it will create the process. Okay, as I told you, once you start executing any program, that process of starting execution will create a process. Okay, so how it is created? It is created by calling a function called as fork. So first it is going to create a process. Once it is process is created, if you have enough memory in the RAM, or it is in your say primary memory, if you have enough memory, then it will go to the second this stage, where it will be moving into which state? Ready to run state. Okay, if you don't have enough space, it will go to say not enough space in the memory, it will go to swapping system, where it will be placed in the a ready to run state until if you have enough memory, it will not be loaded into a ready to run state. Okay. Now, so once you store or once you enter into ready to run state, based on the scheduling that we already discussed, like uh, first in first out, shortest job first, or different types of scheduling algorithms. Based on that algorithm, what happens is this process will be selected by the kernel for its execution. Okay, so this, when you placed in this second stage, it is under execution. Okay, so it will start executing it. So once it is in running state, if you want to take that process out of running state, we are going to use pre-emit. So pre-emit, what it will do, it will go to the seventh stage. Okay, so after this, once that pre-emission is completed, it will go back to user. So user running programs. So user running programs, if any user starts any program, that programs will be stored into user running section. And after that, if you have any interrupt or if the user wants to stop the execution of that particular process, it will again come back to this kernel running state. So these things will happen multiple times when any system calls occurs for interrupt. That particular process will go to these stages like sleep state. So it will enter into sleep state whenever you have any interrupt or something like that. So once you get an interrupt, it will enter into sweep state. So sleep in memory, or once it is in sleep in memory, so it will wait for some time. After it is finished its execution, it will come back to swapping state so that its sleep time has been completed, so that it can we can start that process again. So if it is in if you don't have enough memory, it will come back to this fifth stage. If you have enough memory, it will go to this third stage. So once all this done, so if the process wants to be executed in the background, or if the process that you are going to execute is not under control of the user or under the control of process, it will be under the control of say background process. In that case, it will enter into this ninth stage called as zombie state, where if you have any process that is continuously running, that will be in this zombie state, or if any process completes its execution, it will go to exit state, and it will come out of the execution. So this diagram will represent what are the different states a process can be. So you can compare this with your operating system chapter, where we have discussed how a process will be created when it will be in the ready state and running state, waiting state, and termination state. Okay, now you can go through this diagram. So we'll be discussing the topics regarding this concept. Now coming back to the process. Now process will be having different types. Before going for types of process, when you create any process or any shell based process, okay, any shell based process if you create, so this process will be the first process that will be created. Okay, so once you log in, so as the Unix starts or the operating system starts, you will log into the user account. Once you log into the user account, a process called as sh process will be created, and this process will be having the process ID, or it is also called as PID. So this process ID will be 0. Okay, so this is the first process that will be created with the process ID 0. That is, it will be acting as the parent process for all the process in your say operating system or in your device. Whichever process you start, every process will be under this process ID 0. So this process ID cannot be changed until you log out from the uh, system. Until you log out from the system, this process ID will not be changed, and it will have its own variables. Okay, now once you consider parents and children, in the sense parent and child process, every process that has created will have parent process. So as I told you, uh, the process with PID 0 represents ancestor of all the process. In the sense, if I start, once I log in, one process will be created. So this process will be having the ID as 0. After logging in, if I start terminal, if I open the terminal, then that terminal will create one process, that is maybe process ID 1. Okay. Similarly, if I start web browser, that will be one process. So that will be having the process ID as 2, something like that. Whichever application you start, that each and every application will create its own say process ID, and all these process ID will be subprocess of the basic or the parent process ID with process ID as 0. Okay, so that is for your shell process. Next, how the process will be created. So that is shell process creation. So the process is born when it starts execution. When a program starts execution, it will start a process. Now, how it is started? It is started by calling a method or a function called as fork. Fork is a system call which is used to create a process. Okay, so process ID 0 is not created by fork function system call. As I told you, the first process that has to be created is process ID 0. So this process is not created by fork function call. All the other process, whatever you are going to create in your operating system, will be created by calling this method called as fork method. So fork will always create a child process. So then we'll have execution function call as well as wait function call. What is execute function call is, once an address is allocated for any child process, it is overwritten by a new process data. Say for example, if I have a memory, so in that memory I have some 20, I'll consider just uh, some 20 MB of memory. If you have the 20 MB of memory, here once a process is created, I need to allocate memory for it. So whatever data that you have in this particular memory, which will be replaced. When it is replaced, when you call this function called as execute. Once the execute function is called, so address space for the child process is overwritten. Whatever the address space that you have created in this for the child process will be overwritten. So again, when is wait function call, wait system call is made? When a wait system is made, in the sense, when if you want to create any events, or like taking the input or printing some output, if you want to do those kind of events, that can be done by using calling this method or this system call called as wait system call. Okay, so these are the three system calls we'll be using largely. One is fork, which is used to create a process. Execute, it is used to allocate the memory and override the memory. Wait, when the process wants to execute some events, it wants to call wait system call. And again, finally coming for uh, types of system calls. So types of process. So types of process, we have interactive process, non-interactive process, and daemon process. So interactive process, these are the process that is created by the user. In the sense, when you see a desktop, you will see the icons like my computer, you will see MS Word or some icons like this. When you click on that particular icon, that is a program. MS Word is a program. Once you click on that particular program, it will create a process. Once it creates a process, this event of click and everything action is taken care by the user is going to click on the particular icon. Once he clicks on the icon, it is going to create a process. These kind of process will consider as interactive process because it is created by the user. So whichever process that is created by the user using shell as well as terminal will consider as uh, interactive process. This interactive process is also considered as, or you can also name it as, foreground process. Next type of process is non-interactive process. So what is non-interactive processes? These process run without terminal. For example, if I, or it is also called as background process. If you consider antivirus, or if you consider your Wi-Fi, those kind of softwares or those kind of programs, you are not going to start that process. Okay, it will be running at the background. Okay, whenever you consider your Bluetooth also, whenever you switch on the Bluetooth function, it will automatically detect any devices nearby. So and when you connect a new device, it will automatically exchange the data between one device and the other device. These kind of uh, process which are not started by the user, but it will be running in the background. Okay, so those kind of process will consider as background process or non-interactive process. Okay, so these processes are used to, I mean, as I told you, it does not need any user input. So if you want to start a MS Word, you need to click on that icon, then only it is going to start, which makes it as interactive process. So you're not going to start antivirus, it will be starting by default. You're not going to start the operator, I mean, like say the functions like taking input or displaying something, those kind of functions will be taken care automatically, which is background process. Okay, we have a simple example. Say if I consider have a, I'll open the Segwin terminal here. If I just write ls minus l, and if I press enter, it is going to list, or now this will be acting as a, like say, foreground process, because I'm giving the command like ls, I want to list the number of files that is present in the given terminal. So it is going to execute because I have started this process. I have started this process and it is executed and it has given me the result because user has created it. Suppose I want to create a process which will run in the background. In that case, I'll write something like this. So, so I'll write PR. I need to display a list of files. So I'll write ls PR. I need to list the files which starts with the word called as PR. Okay, it can be of any type, that is a .sh, .txt, or any kind of file it may be. Now I'll use a symbol called as ampersand at the end. So what is the use of ampersand is, it is going to create a background process. Now once I click enter, you can see I got something like 1 and 1799, that is the process ID. So I've created a process and that process is 1799. So which will be, once I give some input, what it makes is, it makes the background, it will create a background process. I can see I have not got the list of programs that is, that will start with PR. So that will start with PR. I got prg.sh, that is the program that I have in the list. Now you can see, first I got the process ID and then I got the result. So this process is going to just display the process ID. In the background we'll be having one more process. That process will be listing all the files. Now I got one file, so you can see I have the final result. Once I press enter, it is going to display something like 1 plus done. And what is done, this particular execution of this particular command called as ls space pr star dot stop, that will be displaying only the files which will be starting with prg or pr word. Okay, now so that is a simple way to create a background processes by using ampersand symbol in the commands. Whatever commands that you are using, if you want to make that commands execute in the background, I'm going to use ampersand symbol. And today's last topic, which is what is daemon process. A daemon process that will be running constantly without terminal or without login. See these kind of process. So when you switch on your system, we need some programs that needs to identify your keyboard, your display device, your mouse, or what are the hardware devices that are connected. Every device that you are connected to the system or your CPU has to be identified whether it is working properly or not. This is not done by the user, or this is not done by the operating system also. This will be done at the beginning or when you start your CPU with the power supply. So these kind of process or programs will considered as daemon programs, which will run automatically, or it will be running constantly, reading the input from the keyboard, reading the input from the mouse, as well as displaying some information on the monitor. So which are nothing but are daemon programs. So these things are important. What is process? Process states, how a process is created, and types of process. So I'll stop the session here. The next session I'm going to continue with the other topics related to process. Thank you.